The holiday season can be a difficult time for those fighting cancer. A diagnosis can weigh heavily on someone physically and emotionally, and it can also change how they and their family handles the holiday. Well, joining me now is Dr. Shahzad Niazi, a Mayo Clinic psychiatrist. So, first off, thank you so much for being here.
Well, you're so very welcome. Thank you for inviting me to talk about this very important topic. As you guys just recently had those two stories about mental illness and the problems, the same thing applies to our cancer patients, which is a significantly vulnerable population, and also their loved ones and family members, friends, caregivers, and such. It is important to remember that the emotional response among the cancer patients varies quite a bit. It can be low level concern about the disease itself, the prognosis, and the treatment related challenges, where it does not have an impact on the functioning of an individual, does not interfere with various role obligations, but it can progress gradually to a point where it starts to become more difficult to manage, where it starts to have negative impact on your ability to do things such as uh, host your traditional get-togethers to celebrate the holidays. Imagine a scenario where someone has been hosting a large gathering of their extended family and friends for 30, 25 years or so, and suddenly finds herself or himself incapable of doing that. So it can be tremendously challenging. And the other thing to remember is that the one-size-fit-all approach does not work here, obviously. What works for one individual or family to deal with this stress does not work well for other individuals.
And we know there's no one size fits all approach because it has to be difficult to tell a family member, hey, well, don't host a party this year if they've been doing it for 30 years. So, what are some customs you recommend, or accommodations rather, for families to start doing to make, the people who are battling cancer feel a little bit better this holiday season?
I think that the key is communication, like many different things. Remember, nobody can read each other's mind. So be explicit about the expectations. So I think that the cancer patients and their caregivers can take a lead here in terms of anticipating what is it that they're realistically capable of doing, and start from there, and then make it known to your friends, family members. You can send them in advance, or write a letter, or send an email, or call them, or have a Zoom chat with them, saying that I'll be able to do this much, but not that much. And it also relieves the pressure on the other individuals who are coming and visiting you, because they don't know how much you want to talk about your disease, or what is it that you want to share or not to share. Do you want to briefly talk about it and move on to the festivities and such, or do you want to spend some more time talking about your illness and your response to it? So be explicit about that. The other thing is that even if you're unable to do all the things that you have been doing, you might be able to do some of the things. So anything that you can still do and participate in is obviously better than not being able to do anything at all. The other challenge with that is that the members who are coming and visiting you, they also can ask you in advance, or ask your loved one in advance, as to what is it that they can do to help you to remember the festivities and all that, and partake in that to the extent that you can. It gets complicated for those individuals who traditionally travel to some other place to be with them, and that travel brings in its own challenges. Uh, the individuals who already have pre-existing conditions versus people who are getting to that need to do different things. So, for example, if you have never had any problem with that, but you're concerned that you may have problems, make sure that you talk to your primary care physician, your cancer doctor in advance, that in case you need some extra help during the holidays to cope with the stress, that there is a mechanism in place as to how you're going to contact them and how you're going to get some medication. Or if you have a therapist, have an appointment before the holidays and after the holidays to deal with those things. For the individuals who who use medications, make sure that the medications are filled so that they don't run out of the refills if you're going to be out of state, how the medications are going to be refilled if needed, and such. For the individuals who don't have those types of challenges and are dealing with stress, they still can have a plan A and a B and a C to think about as to different stages how they would do it. Having a memory box if you're feeling down, where you have the photos of the old gatherings and such, and the things that bring you joy when you're feeling down. Look, going through those things, reliving those happy memories, and trying to remember how it used to be, can be quite helpful. Loneliness is tricky, so try to go attend the gatherings as much as you can.
Right. And thank you so much, Doctor. We're running out of time, but it was a pleasure having you on this morning.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Bye.